Planning Organization meeting. So Sean and I are the B team. You can tell that Mark and Anna's not here, so we'll get through this, and I will start with introductions right here. Steve Barnett, Steve Franklin, I'll go to my left.
Scott Singleton, Town of Plainfield. Eric Watson, Henderson County.
Brian Willhite, Indigo.
Jim Parham, City of Lawrence.
That's Mackey, City of Fishers.
Glenn Morrow, City of Greenfield.
Frank Grove, Town of Woodville. Frank Finance, Town of Speedway.
Brad Davis, Hamilton County. Nathan Sheet, City of Indianapolis. Lance, Town of Zionsville.
Dax Norton, Town of Bargersville.
Mike Rouse, Boone County.
Amanda Meyer, Soda.
Luke Maston, Jeff County. Sean Northup, MPO.
Paul Jackson, yeah. Martin MPO. Who chose that in not.
Got your AF Engineering.
Jennifer Paul, IMPO. Andrew Miller, IMPO. IMPO. Today with PMCF.
On the back. Swipe butt with good right. Very good attention TV. Mike Lewis, not here to group. Christine.
Oh, Christine Oldman, servant.
Okay. All right, everyone, that's got introductions. Hope everybody's had a chance to read the minutes. Need a motion. The minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we're watching the names of the people that make the motion. We were asked to write those down, so if you could name who you are, who you live, we appreciate it. Thank you. We got it this time. Thank you. So we have a motion to accept the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to item number 3, the Metropolitan Plan Amendment number 2. Jen Higginbotham with IMPO.
Some people can see me. And I'm Jen Higginbotham. I'm with the planning section for the Indianapolis IMPO. I've met you already. We have our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. This is going to be the second amendment to that Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP. We had a public review period from August 4th through 18th for the amendments being proposed. Today's meeting is for improvement of those amendments, and included in those amendments are some non-exempt or regionally significant amendments. So these are ones that have bigger impacts on, could potentially have bigger impacts on transportation in the region. Among those amendments, we have 6 that are updated project costs. Those are 2 Hancock County projects and 4 NDOT projects. They were all included on the memo in your packet. We have one that is a project that we are moving from a current time period to the illustrative list. That's an NDOT project on I-70 that they have decided to swap out for an interchange modification. And that interchange modification is one of the 2 new projects that is being added. So the 2 projects that are being added to the MTP are connection to Quaker Boulevard Bridge in Hendricks County over the Plainfield area, basically off of I-70, and then another interchange in Hancock County at County Road 200 West on I-70. So as I said, we've got 6 updated project costs, 1 project moving out, and then 2 projects being added in. Are there any questions about any of these amendments that I can help answer?
Okay, this time we'll open it up for a public hearing. So we're open. Is there any questions, comments? Hearing or seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. So we are ready for a motion for resolution 2025 IMPO-013.
So moved, Dalton.
Second, Jim Parham, City.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. If none, we will.
Yeah. For the amendment to conformity report, Cole. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I have Q3 tip amendments for you. Notable is that we have two tips we're talking about right now. There's the 24 to 27 tip, which is the current tip, and the 26 to 29 tip, which you all approved in February, but it's still pending federal approval. These are amendments to the 26 to 29 tip. So we cannot actually send them out for approval until that is federally approved. We thought it would be approved last month and then before tech and then before policy. Still not federally approved, but any day now, we will be hearing that it is approved. So those are amendments for that tip, the 26 to 29 tip, not the 24 to 27 tip. Secondly, this includes both exempt and non-exempt amendments. The exempt amendments are going to be your regular amendments. Non-exempt amendments are in your packet, they're also here. The difference between exempt and non-exempt amendments is that the non-exempt amendments require a coordination with the MTP, which is why we just approved the MTP amendments before this. They also require air quality conformity work, and they're a bit of a longer process. So sometimes you'll see us separate resolution for exempt and non-exempt. On this particular packet, we have them all on one, but that's just the difference between non-exempt and exempt amendments. Also in the packet is an amendment for 116th and Allisonville and Fishers. So the change in this one is to change the scope. This is not a change for cost. When this was originally put out, it was for the 2019 culvert projects, or the culvert projects that happened in 2019. It was approved as a signalized intersection. Currently in the tip, it is a roundabout when it's using FFE HSIP funds. The amendment before you today is to remove the roundabout and make it a signalized intersection again, with some changes to turning lanes and signals. So this is not a change in cost for the IMPO, it's just a change in scope. Does anyone have questions about the tip amendments?
Okay, we're gonna open this up for public hearing, so it's questions, anybody from the audience? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. At this time, I think we're ready for a motion for resolution 2025 IMPO-009.
Compare City of Lawrence, so moved. Brad Davis, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go on to item number 5.
I actually have a little more to talk about. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So culvert projects, I wanted to give you guys some information before that opens up. So culvert projects is going to open October 6th. It's going to close November 8th. We do have some information about the funding now. So there's going to be about 60 million available. That's a little bit less than last year with an inflation rate of 4%. This is for federal fund exchange projects in fiscal year 2029 and federal projects in 2031. The federal fund exchange projects are going to be SCDG, CMAQ, and HSIP. The federal funds are going to be the TA funds, so mostly trail projects. A couple of changes from last year. When you all approved the 2050 NTP, you also approved changes to our allocation goals. This is the first year that we're going to have a couple of projects with these allocation goals. This is also the first time that we've had intersection improvements as its own category. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are applying. There are also changes to the ADA and Title VI requirement. So NDOT has told us that they're not going to assign those numbers to projects that do not have, or to LPAs that do not have a compliant Title VI and ADA plan. So in order to remain compliant, by October 1st of every year, you need to submit in your Title VI information and your ADA information. The Title VI information needs to be updated annually. ADA information needs to be updated every 3 years. Because we are required to ensure that you're complying, in addition to not, we're going to require that you submit that information to the corporate projects as well. So you can email that to us, you can upload it to my tip, but we have to see that you have a copy of both of those and that you're compliant, so that we are also remaining compliant and not risking funding. Just some information about what all that entails. For Title VI, you need a Title VI coordinator, Title VI plan, and language access plan. For ADA, if you're a large organization, you need an ADA coordinator, grievance procedure, transition plan, stuff like that. If any of that sounds new to you, then please make sure you're coordinating with NDOT. They have resources available on how to be compliant with both of those. There's also some changes coming for ProWeb. So we're going to have a training on September 9th. Here's the QR code if you want to scan it. It's a virtual training on Zoom. It's going to cover both ADA and ProWeb. If you're not familiar with ProWeb, it is sort of an addition to the ADA. There's going to be some additional requirements on the design, Things like signaling, roundabout design, have on-street parking, there's gonna be required ADA accessible on-street parking. So just some changes that are gonna be coming down the line with ProWay. This will cover both in that training. So you can listen to that. It's also on our website. Any questions on culvert projects?
Cole, I know you said 60 million available. Do you have the breakdown as far as CMAC, HSIP?
It's in the packet, and the packet will be released in 2 days, so I'll get it to you then. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Cole. Okay, this gets us to item number 5, membership dues for 2026. Sean.
So membership dues, the way this works every year is we get our federal allocation, in planning funds. We then match it with, local match dues, 20% federal, 20% local. That covers all of our planning work, all of our overhead for the next year. We approved the work program, which will be next on a 2-year basis with 1-year amendments. The dues we do every individual year. This year, we have $3.8 million in federal planning funds coming in. That's a lot for us. That's much higher than it's been because we were able to fix the federal funding formula, the way the MPOs distribute that. So that was a huge change. It's going to lead to, in the next year and a half, about a $1.1 million increase in our annual allocation. We're no longer granting out funds to every other MPO in the state. That formula has changed. It's a really great accomplishment on Anna's part. Was after it for nearly a decade. So we're very excited about that. We're immediately trimming $95,000 off the top of that. That's going to be 100% complete streets project money, which will be baked into our work program. That doesn't need to be matched. And then $500,000 for the LPA planning program. So we recently had a call for projects. There were 5 projects selected. They're part of the work program. Those will be matched by the LPAs that are receiving those funds. Those do not need to be matched as part of dues. So when we take all that out, we're matching $3.2 million this year. That's a slight decrease. So dues will go down for everyone this year, just a little bit. So that's a slight decrease from last year. We add on $60,000 for our 100% government relations contract. We don't use federal funds to pay for that. $10,000 for our Safe Streets for All grant. That grant amount went up since our last dues. We collected $110,000 last year. And then when we did the award process, and it was just recently awarded, like yesterday or the day before, we got the signed contract. So the SS4A project is going to move forward. That's a total of $120,000 match. It's $10,000 more than last year. So just the $10,000 to adjust on that, and then $5,000 for our T4A membership, which is they do some federal policy tracking and have been a really good resource for us. Our total match this year is going to come to $878,000. You see all the red there on the side. That page is in your packet. Everyone's dues goes down just a little bit this year. Any questions about local match?
Okay, this is not up for public hearing, but it is, we do have a resolution that needs to be addressed. That resolution 2025 IMPO-015. So we would need a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, compare the city members.
Thank you.
Second, Johnson County.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say aye. Thank you. Hearing none, we'll go on to item number 6, which is also Sean. Unified Planning Work Program for 2026.
All right, not meant to be read, but this is what the work program looks like in this packet. It's a giant table that shows by category all of our expenses for the year. The work program's close to a budget. It shows all of our federal and local revenues, and it shows by at least broad category what our planning activities are going to be for 2026. This is the second year in a 2-year UPWP, so this is an amendment. It's actually amendment number 3. We modified it one other time. For the 2026 work program. Just a few things we wanted to highlight. These are the broad categories. that our work becomes an administration, data and GIS program. The plan, multimodal and active transportation, other studies, and the bottom three are the non-INDOT ones: economic development, thanks, water and environment. We're going to continue our internship program in 2026. That's been long running now. It's gone very well. But we'll see where those interns have gone. A lot of people, we started in 2013. So some of the folks who have been through that have gotten into leadership positions from the big website refresh starting in 2026. Jen Higginbotham is going to be leading that for our team. So updated site design, that's probably long overdue for us. We are doing a new strategic plan. So we adopted the last one in 2018. We're doing a new one focused on some of our expansion areas, how that works, some internal operations work, relationship with CERTA, and kind of defining how we're going to be moving forward with the RDA and working with them on the EPA grant. Annie's been managing that outreach, and that's been going quite well. Household travel survey continues to go. I'll update on the end of this. It's called Hoosier Travel Counts. If you hear about it, if folks get mailers, please encourage them to take it. Surveys are tough, right? People are not responding to calls or emails. Everything looks fraudulent. So we are trying to get as much participation as we can. Hoosier Travel Counts is a real thing. If you hear something about it, please let them know. The business. Onboard surveys with Indigo. We'll have onboard surveys focused on the purple line and the red line, and then a broader system-wide onboard survey as well. We're trying to do those a bit smaller and a bit more frequently to really understand origins and destinations, who's riding, where they're going. Replica vehicle counts will continue to be made available to everyone. If you need traffic count information, please reach out to our data team through our license. Anybody can get those data counts. Those are big data. Those are counting cell phones. And we've found every time that we've checked that they're quite accurate. So please don't be shy about reaching out and getting those replica vehicle counts. Travel demand model updates are pretty significant for next year. We're adding several new modules to the travel demand model. That's available for microsim or whatever kind of services are needed for projects. That's Catherine on our team that manages those. Good amount of work next year. Engineering cost review and my tip will continue. So we'll continue to manage the tip as we have. We are going to begin the next MTP major update. Feels like we just finished the last MTP major update, but we are starting a new one toward the end of next year. Joe T. Martin will be the project manager on that one. And that will be a few more years to get that one done. It takes every bit of 2.5 years to get done. The SS4A Safety Action Plan was supposed to have happened this year with changes at the federal level. It was in limbo for a little bit, and we just got our signed grant. So we're thrilled to get that going. Andrea Miller, project manager on that one. Active transportation plan. So this is bike, head, and transit. Will be happening next year as well. Those projects get recommended into the MTP. Joe T, the project manager on that one. We will update the IMPO and My Board Community Preference Survey. This is a long-running survey. We did the first one in 2013 or 2014. This will be the 4th iteration of it. We've maintained a lot of the same questions. It's been interesting to see that one change over time. We're gonna do that again. It's been a really, really good partnership with My Board that we'll look to continue. Our first BRT after study is this year. It's going to be in 2026. We've done before studies on all 3 lines now in partnership with Indigo. We'll be doing the after study in 2026. For note, Indigo has East Side Mobility Hub, which they'll be doing. We note that because they're receiving federal funds in our region, and so we post that. That one's in Cumberland, right, Ryan? Yeah. And then the local planning projects are listed as well, and we will continue and probably finalize the EPA RDA outreach that we've been doing that aims. So it'll be a busy planning year next year. A lot of heavy data investments leading into 2 more pretty busy planning years afterwards to participate. It's our word program there.
Okay, is there any questions for Sean?
On these surveys.
Yeah.
It might be helpful to put out press releases.
We
And
do.
push out
Yes.
to give the actual website coming in.
Yeah.
And encourage people to do it.
Yeah, we will. We have an intake website for the coach travel story. The problem is it's not just anyone can do it. We're inviting, so it's randomized sample.
Right.
So yeah, it's picked up lately. It's been better the last couple of months than it was for the first 3.
Sean, could you tell us a little bit more about the MPO and IMPO community preference study?
Yeah, so the National Association of Realtors does a nationwide survey that just asks, where do you live and where do you want? Basically, that's the crux of the survey. We duplicated that at the local level. Then you ask all sorts of questions about community type and what kind of amenities do you consider when you decide where to live? And there have been over time a few transit questions in there. And follow-up preference questions. We threw a couple in about work from home and the pandemic in the last one. It was 2020. So that's been a nice long-running survey. I'd say 90% of the questions have been the same every couple of years when we've done it. My board really takes the lead on pushing that information out. We work pretty closely with them to do that. We can share the last 3 that have been done, and we already have the questionnaire from last time, and we're making some adjustments to. My board wants to make a much bigger push this time around than they did the last time, so it gets picked up pretty regularly. It's good data. It gets baked into models that get done based on projecting where people will apply. So it's been a really interesting one, and one where we have a national data point that we can benchmark against. It's a really good one.
Any other questions, comments for Sean? It's a lot of stuff right there to cover. So
It's a busy planning year in 26.
if there isn't any more comments or questions, we would need a motion to approve resolution 2025-IMPO-014.
This Chair City of Lawrence. So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second, Jeff. Yeah.
We have a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, local planning grant call recommendation, Cole Jackson.
Good morning again, I am back. The local planning grant is an opportunity for local public agencies to apply for planning funding from the IMPO to do planning in their own community. This is the 4th time we've offered this program, the first time with this name. I think we're going to stick with the name this time. I don't think it'll change. We received 6 applications, 2 of which were from Speedway. We try to distribute it out so that we will only give one community 2 projects with additional funding left over. So the result is this recommendation for these 5 projects. It's a project in Speedway, McCourtsville, Indianapolis, Whitestown, and Hamilton County. I do have them on a map because we are planning people. But the Whitesville and McCourtsville projects are citywide. Hamilton County, Indianapolis, and Speedway are on specific locations. Some information about what this program made available is the IMPO had $100,000 per planning project available. Projects can be more expensive than that, but it just increases the local match. We received 6 total applications. The total requested is about 475, so not quite the full 500. The way that this funding works is that it is IMPO planning money. As a result of that, we have to pull the contract, we have to release the RFP, and we have to do the invoicing. So the LP is going to select the vendor and manage the contract and manage the project. But because of the federal funding that's attached to this, there are limitations on how we can release it. So if you all do approve this today, we will have the RFPs released sometime this fall, and then the project will commence probably in the beginning of 2026. Any questions on this?
Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we are ready for resolution 2025 IMPO 0110.
Move to approve. Well, I.
David Lawrence, second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying aye? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll go into the status updates, the 2025 annual safety report. Andrea Miller. And Jennifer Dunn.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm here to present to you on the 2025 annual safety report. So this is our third year, and obviously this is an ongoing series. Here we go. So there are two primary purposes for the annual safety report, just as a quick reminder. So the first is to provide improved awareness and transparency when it comes to the topic of specifically serious and fatal crashes. This is what the annual crash report focuses on. And additionally, it also serves as our tracking document when it comes to our progress in achieving our 2022 Vision Zero resolution of reducing serious and fatal crashes by 35% by the year 2023. There have been a few important changes from the previous annual safety report, so I do want to take a little bit of time to really emphasize this and make you all aware, because when you compare this annual safety report to even last year's, you'll see that there's a noticeable difference in the numbers. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time explaining where that's coming from. The biggest one is a data definition update for serious crashes. So in the past, we have used the incapacitating crashes definition that's available in the ARES statewide reporting system for these crashes. And as of 2023, there has been full adoption from using incapacitating crashes to suspected serious injury. So what that essentially means is that from 2020 through part of 2023, only certain jurisdictions were using this new update, but now we have everyone on the same system. And so we have changed from using incapacitating crashes to suspected serious injury. And this also does mean that prior to 2023, there will be some margin of error in those numbers. This is just an unavoidable part of the transitioning process. So just a little bit of an example of some of the differences that we're seeing from previous annual safety reports using, I knew I was forgetting something, so apologies. The other item I wanted to highlight is the use of the updated MPA boundary. So obviously, because we're changing our geographic spread, this will also change not just serious crash numbers, but fatal crash numbers. So this is also the source of when you look at our annual safety report, you'll see that fatal crash numbers have also changed. So as an example of a change from our previous annual safety report, the image on the left is from our 2024 ASR. And at that time, using the data we had available, we were meeting our Vision Zero goal. Unfortunately, using our updated data, we are no longer meeting that goal. But I do want to dive in a little bit into those numbers and give you some insight into what's happening. So what do our new crash numbers say? The first is that there were substantial increases in crashes in 2020 and 2021. And that general statement has not changed from previous annual safety reports, though the exact numbers on it have. This is something that we saw really across the nation. It was something we experienced as well. So in 2020, we had a combined 22% increase in fatal and serious crashes. And then in 2021, we had a 14% increase. 2022 saw declines in both fatal and serious crashes. But then in 2023 and 2024, serious crashes rose again while fatal crashes stayed even or declined. And because of the rise in serious crashes, that pushed our numbers up above to have us no longer meeting our Vision Zero goal. The silver lining, I would say, to this is that we are seeing fatal crashes either stay even or decline for the past 3 years.
So a little bit of time I do want to spend on the people behind the crash numbers, because I think it's very easy to just kind of think of these percentages and it all kind of gets lost the true impact. But in 2024, 914 people were injured in a suspected serious injury crash, and 126 people were killed across our planning area. And over the 7-year period from 2018 to 2024, 5,506 people were seriously injured and 945 people were killed. So that's nearly 1,000 people that died on our local roadways. This does not include private roads or INDOT controlled facilities, so it does not include the interstates. Some additional information about crashes by travel mode. So when you combine fatal and serious crashes together, you can see that vehicles make up 83% of crashes, pedestrians make up 14% of crashes, and bicyclists make up 3% of crashes. But when you sort to look at fatal crashes alone, you can see that pedestrians percentage more than doubles. So they go from 14% to 29%, accounting for all fatal crashes. And that just really demonstrates the enhanced vulnerability we see for those outside of a vehicle. Some additional information we have available is the primary crash factors. So for fatal crashes alone and serious injury and fatal crashes combined, 4 out of these 5 factors are the same. And that's intersections, lane departures, speeding, and unrestrained occupants, which is code for people without seatbelts. And for fatal crashes alone, I don't think this is surprising, but pedestrian is the 5th factor for fatal crashes alone. So that really concludes my update. We do have the full annual safety report in the packets. It is also available online for you to view. But really the key takeaways I want you to have from this is the data definition update that has led to those pretty substantial changes from previous reports. And what they're saying, the fact that we are, as of now, no longer meeting our Vision Zero goal, but with, again, that good news that we are seeing fatal crashes decline. So more work to be done, but in that respect, at least we can say good work. But I'm happy to take any questions.
Andrea, this might be a little in the weeds, but on the unrestrained accidents,
Mhm.
that includes like motorcycles, scooters.
I wouldn't include scooters. I think motorcyclists are their own crash factor, but I need to double check that. So we have like a full table of like well over a dozen crash factors. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I would need to check that, but I can get back to you.
I have a quick question on your definition change. Is that something that's being implemented with all the police agencies, or is that just you changing how you're defining it in your report?
It's changed across the state.
So police agencies are reporting
Yes.
that new definition.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what the definition is? It used to be left in an ambulance, right?
Yeah, so incapacitating crashes, what meant someone left the scene by an ambulance, which is a little bit, I think we can all say somewhat ambiguous. You can have people leave a scene who are injured and decide they don't want to take an ambulance for cost reasons, and vice versa. You could have an ambulance called for something that maybe isn't horrible. But I do believe, even though the transition process to the suspected serious injury definition has been a little bit rocky, I think that this new definition will really lead to an improvement in just our ability to identify them. So the new suspected serious injury definition uses essentially if you have one of 7 or 8 specific injuries, it gets clicked and it gets monitored, it gets tagged as an SSI. So for example, and they're very specific, they're also a little graphic. So they have things like severe burn, fracture, dislocation, unconscious. So all of these different things, but they're a lot more clearly defined. So yeah, I do think that this will be really useful moving forward and improving the accuracy of our data.
Is there any change in how this is integrated into your HSIP funding criteria?
No.
No change.
So these crashes are all downloaded from Aries.
Yes, and then we correct the location.
Okay,
before it's-
we've noticed sometimes in Aries they duplicate 4 times the same crash. And also if 2 parties go into the same accident site, it gets reported twice, one in county, let's say, and then another one in the city. So there may be some things that we've noted when we looked at Aries, sometimes that it might be duplicate.
So part of our correction process we're going through is getting rid of those. duplicates. Yeah, absolutely, and we've also just had some things where, like the specific locations of a crash it doesn't monitor it doesn't mirror rather what's in the text of the report, right? So you'll see that what it says it is in the report and what gets like tagged as is completely different. So yeah, we go through and make sure all of that data is corrected.
We started cleaning Aries data. I don't remember exactly what year it is, but it's going back to like 2017. And we just do it as a matter of practice now every year.
Mhm.
So you're right, there's problems in the data. It used to be that there were a lot of like 0-0 locations, and so these crashes were happening in the Pacific Ocean. We had to fix those and read the reports. We hired a consultant to read the reports and put in the proper geolocation. It's gotten a little bit better. We now do it in-house. Jennifer Dunn does it on staff and cleans them every year in-house. But that's still a pretty heavy lift every year, cleaning that data.
And we do have that data available now on a quarterly basis. So it used to be that we would wait until the end of the year and then the following year, maybe, by like the second quarter, we would have it available. But now, so we have first quarter data available from 2025 right now. And as a reminder, like we can provide our members with that data. So we have it on hand. We're happy to give it to you to, assist in any way we can.
It is the single thing we do that gets picked up by media the most. The dashboard on the website gets cited constantly.
Andrew, where would we find the suspected serious injury definition?
So it's in like a memo provided by INDOT. I can send that to you. I have it in my emails. Yeah, where they kind of go through the whole thing. There's a shorter version of it in the annual safety report, but if you want the whole thing about the transition, it's like a multiple page memo. I can send it to you. Yeah. All right, well, that's it for me. If you have any additional questions, please let me know. I'll be sure to send out that memo on the methodology change, and I will check into the crash factors about motorcyclists, because I'm not sure about that off the top of my head. All right.
Thank you, Andrea. We're ready. Annie Dixon, coordinated 20.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience as we get these presentations loaded. We're trying to make sure that people online can see them as well, which is why there's a delay each time we switch. My name is Annie. I do a lot of public transit planning for the IMPO. I also do a lot of environmental work. Here to talk to you today about the coordinated plan. You haven't heard this since our last meeting, but wanted to give you an update on the status as we will be seeking approval from this body in the October meeting. If you have questions, let me know as we go through. Quick background here, this is linked to section 5310 funding, which the designated recipient is Indigo for the urbanized area and INDOT for the rural areas of the state. This funding is specifically focused on transportation for people with disabilities as well as seniors. For those organizations, whether they be public transit providers like Link Hendricks County or Hamilton County Express, or our social service providers like Noble, Bosma, etc. When they apply for this funding, they have to cite a goal in this plan that their funding application addresses. We developed this plan in conjunction with Indigo as well as those providers so they can give input on the goals. Here's the timeline. We kicked off this project in April of this year. We had our first stakeholder meeting in May. We also initiated a rider survey as well as a survey of our current providers to understand how many vehicles are in the region, what their hours of services are, and kind of documented that. In July, we had our second stakeholder meeting, and we also hosted some public engagement open houses. These were to gather feedback on the draft goals, and those are what is linked to the actual funding applications. Right now, we're in August, so we're giving you an update on where this plan stands. In September, we will be working on report writing, and there will also be a public comment period on the draft document. And then in October, we will be seeking approval from these bodies. Wanted to give you a quick update on some of the rider survey results. It was open from May 19th through June 27th. This is a map of zip code responses. We heavily rely on our public transportation partners to help us distribute this survey. We actually got over 200 survey responses, which is double what we had last time. We saw a pretty good regional spread, a little bit light in Hancock County, so that's something for us to keep in mind for the next round. General summary of feedback included a lot of people who are currently using these services are desiring, they're taking trips to work, social, or recreation, shopping, medical and dental visits, as well as day service programs as well. They desire more services on weekends, more reliable pickup and drop off times, more service hours within their current days of service, and then also some cross-county travel. Wanted to present to you some of the draft goals. These will be available also for public review during the document review process. These are currently grouped into 4 overarching categories. So we've got 2 slides on these. First one is maintain and improve existing service. So this covers things like maintaining current services despite cost increases, increasing days and hours of services, and some of those other desires that riders expressed in their survey responses. Second overarching goal is coordinating programs and services. This is the coordinated plan after all, so part of its goal is to help improve coordination and communication between providers. So this has things like adopting a consistent region-wide fare structure or payment system, or providing regional travel training so that everyone is aware of what services are available, what eligibility requirements are, so that these riders have a variety of options and are aware of what services they qualify for. Last 2 overarching ones, first one is complementing public transportation. This of course meets some needs, but it doesn't meet all of them. So other goals underneath this include things like increasing access to out-of-county destinations. A lot of public transit providers are currently limited to their county boundaries. This also includes supporting trips that may not be served by public transit, such as vouchers for cross-county travel. Last piece is educating decision makers. We've heard this before, but this is just kind of demonstrating the need for public transit and human services in the region as well. Here, our next step, we're going to have a public comment period on the draft, September 22nd through October 3rd. We'll have virtual pre-hearing meeting as well, which Danielle will touch on in the next presentation. This is just another opportunity for individuals to give feedback on our plans. The goal is to kind of lower barriers of participation in the planning process. And then we're seeking approval of these documents in the technical committee, policy committee in October. Any questions? Yeah.
Any idea on the total number of individuals that we serve with this program?
For the coordinated plan that's meant to be region wide, I couldn't tell you the number that are served by 5310. Do you have a ballpark, Brian, on that one?
No, we do have our subrecipients submit to us annual vehicle reports. This tracks the number of trips and other information provided through vehicles that are funded at the 5310. So we have that information. But I don't know.
I was just wondering, 'cause I mean, it seems like it'd be easier to get people to respond to the survey if everybody that's on using that transportation, and they get on the bus or whatever, fill out the survey. So that seems like a pretty low amount of people responding to something that is serving a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. We worked to make it available online and we distribute it to our different providers. And of course, is dependent on those that have the time to fill it out while they're riding. We did target specifically to those that are using the service. But yes, it's difficult to get survey responses right now. I was pretty satisfied with this one as it was double the number of responses as last time. But of course, it's, we always want more representation from around the region.
So it wasn't a statistical survey?
No, it was
generalized.
Yeah, it was not required to be statistically valid. I do feel that the goals have addressed some of the major comments, and there were some things that we were surprised by, based on what writers were asking for the people who are actually using the service. So we did make sure to factor that in. The stakeholders as well saw the results, as they were reviewing the draft.
I think that I'd have to go back and look, but the population was big enough to be representative, right? It's just not random.
Correct, the only concern is, the lower rate here, in Hancock County. So that was the only piece that wasn't fully represented. I do know that Hancock County was working through some kind of other software issues at the time, so they might not have been able to, distribute it at the level that, we normally would have seen.
Any other questions?
Thank you much.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, next we have Daniel Fry with the Public Involvement Plan.
Good morning. I'm Danielle Fry. I'm the engagement specialist with the IMPO. I don't get to come and talk to you all that often, but I'll be here at the next meeting too, because this will be up for approval in October. Just as a reminder, because it's probably been a little while since we talked about the public involvement plan. The public involvement plan is a required document that outlines the steps that we are required to take to involve the public. It specifically mentions some of our core documents like the public involvement plan, the TIP, and the MTP. It outlines, public noticing, all those kind of bare minimum requirements. So to start off the update process, we convened a steering committee made up of these organizations listed here on the screen. We met 3 times discussing potential changes as well as other engagement ideas. We also consulted with members of the public at the IMPO recurring focus group called SERVE. And there we really talked about how can we work better to reach the public about all of the work that we're doing. We want, your input, we want a 2-way conversation. And so we had great kind of brainstorming session about different ways to go above and beyond what is outlined in the PIP. Some of the updates include, I talked about going above and beyond the PIP. So part of that was, I'm going to jump down to the last bullet point there. It's creating an engagement toolkit. This is the part that I find really exciting. This is the most useful part to me in my job, actually. It is listing out tools and techniques that we can use. And so this is a new document that we're developing that's going to be a working document. It's not an official document kind of thing. And I'll talk a little bit more about what's in there a little later. And as Annie mentioned, we are hosting pre-hearings. This is also an item that came up with our recurring focus group. So we're doing this as part of a way to give people more opportunities to ask questions and speak on some of the items that are coming up for approval here at our policy committee meetings. Because these are held on a weekday in the morning, it can be a little difficult. So we are holding 2 virtual pre-hearings on usually the Monday before this meeting, 1 at noon and 1 at 6 p.m. to allow people to come and ask questions about the items under approval. We are also working on posting items in one place on our website to make it easier to find for people. So we've added information about public hearings, public comment periods, links to the documents that are up for public comment, all in one place on the Get Involved page of our website. One of the other changes that we are making with this PIP update is we're aligning the comment periods for the MTP and TIP amendments so that both are 10 days. Previously, the MTP was 14 days and the TIP was 10 days. And so sending out notice and coordinating those comment periods were a little like wonky. So now they're gonna be together and make it a little easier there. We updated the data for our language access plan. That was a little outdated data, so we've got some updated information there. And we're naming only the Indy Star as our paper of record for public noticing. We will still be using the Indianapolis Recorder when we can, but because of their publication dates, some of the lead time that we need to send out our public notices is just too long, and we don't have the information ready to get it in print on time. So we will use them when we can have that information ahead of time. But as our paper of record, we're just going to be using the Indianapolis Star.
It also gets rid of the last vendor that we're paying by paper check. So everyone is on ACH. Right, Chris? Everyone.
We also updated the top statement program of projects. We worked with Indigo, CERTA, and FHWA to update the statement. And then my favorite part, the engagement toolkit. So in the engagement toolkit, we have a list of techniques, and those would include things like open houses, tabling at events, meetings in a box, focus groups. Each technique will list out the time investment that IMPO staff has to put into that, as well as cost and materials needed. When this type of engagement works best, outlines who this type of engagement works best to reach. So we're defining our audience. It also has checklists for accessibility to make sure our meeting locations and documents are accessible, and a form for preparing for engagement, which will help project managers narrow down which technique might be best, what audience we're reaching. So this goes out for public comment later this week on August 22nd. It's a 45-day comment period. We will have virtual public meetings, and we will have our pre-hearings, and then it will come to this committee for approval in October. Any questions? Yeah.
What's the publication cost for the portal? Because I believe that comes through the IBJ, when IBJ is published and distributed in print.
The publication cost, it's by line for public notices. I'm not.
It may be expensive, but quite honestly, I don't think anybody reads the one and for the notices.
No, no one reads legal.
I mean, they
notices.
really want
they're required for us to notice. But we understand no one reads that. Like I said, this is like the bare minimum requirements.
Right.
That's why I created the engagement toolkit, so we can work to go beyond that.
Just a default.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Danielle. Okay, that gets us other business, infrastructure call for projects. We're all interested in that. Sean.
Yeah, Cole mentioned this. It's open October 6th to November 28th for 2029. So be sure that you're Title VI and ADA compliant. There's ProAg, public right-of-way access guidelines, right? ProAg training on September 9th. So there are trainings and resources out there to make sure everyone's compliant by October 1st. And that call is open the October 6th through November 20th.
Is there any reason why you guys pick Black Friday for that, or?
Just wanted to test out how many of you want to work through Thanksgiving and 14.
You want to test out how much you want to work on Thanksgiving too?
Hey, Sean, I have a quick question on the Title VI ADA. You want that uploaded with the application, but can you just create a link and provide you with the link? Because there's a lot there.
That's fine. You can also email it to us. If you just want to email us here, question or I, we can, we'll count it for that.
I've got a general random question. I know everybody probably saw that Indiana has the best roads in the country about a month ago that came out. And I remember I've slept since then, but didn't a couple of years ago, we had to like certify or approve NDOT's scoring of the roads. Did I remember that meeting?
Was that pavement quality? Was that
Yes.
their pavement quality? I don't think we voted to do anything with that, but they came in and talked about their pavement system.
I thought we had to approve it for some reason or something, but it's like,
Will be supporting target,
Yeah.
is that it? I think that.
but their scoring is laughable at best. It said all of our roads were like 4.9s out of 5s, and it's just like, it's funny that that gets submitted and all of a sudden we have the best roads in the country when that's keep doing anywhere in the country. That's not the case. I just thought I'd make that comment.
Yeah, we went down that road, no pun intended, for pavement quality and looking at doing a regional pavement system. And it was problematic, like getting everyone to score things the same way. People have different reasons for scoring their roads the way that they do, different systems with Indianapolis and the others. And so there's been a lot of progress made locally on that. We decided to stay on. It was just the best way to go. Series of other announcements. So I mentioned the Hoosier travel counts, those emails that we made a big push the week of October 11th. So if you do hear, point them to the website, let them know it's a real thing. We're trying to increase involvement there. Our Vision Zero toolkit is still available on the website. I don't know how much it's being used locally. If everyone's looking at Vision Zero plans, please take a look. It's a nice resource. It's being picked up by other regions as a best practice. Andrea is going to go over to Columbus, Ohio, and present on it to their MPO, and we've heard from 2 others over the last year about references and different things that we're utilizing. So it's a good piece of work. Jen worked for a few years to get that one done and to the point where it is. It's a good resource if anyone's working on that front. Obviously, we have work to do as a region on that front based on Andrea's presentation. For the vendors in the room, we have a lot of work. I didn't highlight all of the work that we're doing in 2026. We have more work coming. Please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share that list of projects and budgets with anyone who wants to know. We'll be releasing RFPs, RFQs, RFIs, small purchase quotes. We'll be doing all of that between now and the end of the year. So there should be a decent bit of activity for us for the next couple of months. And then finally, we're going to be compliant with the new open meetings law changes, which means we're going to publish everyone's name who's at the meetings and your role with your community. And that has to change by letter when we make changes to it annually. So look for those and be responsive when those come back out. You'll see the OWL camera is going to be up there and hopefully functioning well as we go. That's brand new for us. But everyone needs to be seen and heard now online for every meeting, and we need to publish everyone's name and role. So that we'll be compliant with that starting now. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, is there any other comments or anybody want to bring anything up while we have the opportunity? Hearing none, I think we need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, city.
Second.
We need a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.